All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 11 of the Big Shred podcast. I am John Matos, your host, and we've got a killer show for you tonight. So I've got my good buddy Joel Omans from Rings of Saturn and Animation Sequence hanging out with us today. And Joel and I go way back, probably, I want to say like 7 or 8 years now. So back to some of Abiotic's first tours and bigger shows and stuff like that. So it'll be cool. We actually haven't caught up in a little bit, aside from kind of a little pre-show catch-up that I usually do. But it'll be awesome to get into some Rings of Saturn stuff, some animation sequence stuff that he's got going on. Also, some stories of him and Rings out in Europe just before this whole Corona thing kind of popped off. So definitely stick around and hang with us for Joel's interview. Now, the show tonight is sponsored by Ormsby Guitars. So if you are currently looking for the guitar of your dreams, go ahead and head on over to the Ormsby Guitars website. It's ormsbyguitars.com, or you can check out their reverb. They've got some 6-string, 7-string, and 8-string guitars, multi-scale, standard scale, with artists like Dino Cazares from Fear Factory, Rusty Cooley, yours truly as well. I've been playing their headless model, the Goliath 7-string, and it's super sick. They've got some really great guitars available for pre-order on their website that they've got coming out hopefully before the year's over, barring any coronavirus mishaps. And they have a ton of great guitars available on their reverb right now that you can check out, you can buy. And I had a buddy order one and he got it in under a week. So if you're really fiending for a new guitar while you're fucking stuck at home, look no further. Go ahead and check out the website and check out the reverb. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and bring on tonight's guest, Joel Omans from Rings of Saturn and Animation Sequence. Joel, what up, dude?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Good, man. Good. You know, another day in quarantine. How about you?
Yes. Yeah, another day in lockdown paradise, my friend. It's quite the fun time.
Yeah, yeah, and you were just saying you're in Washington, right? Which is kind of this. It's I guess technically where the first case was found in the U.S. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe so, like a Seattle area. Thankfully I'm more on the east side of the state, so I'm more close to like Idaho
Okay.
as far as like representation of like cases and activity and stuff of the pandemic. So
Yeah, yeah. But you were just saying too how like they're not going to be really doing shit until they
yeah,
no
they're
cases at all.
it's a very slow reopening for our state. They're being very cautious about trying, their goal is to get this done once and kind of not have to go through a second wave or another, reoccurrence of cases sprouting up again. So
Which is fair. I mean, I personally think that's the smartest way to handle this whole situation, which is to just like do it right the first time. And like we were talking just now, like don't be Florida.
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah. You don't,
I
it could get it may be bad now, but it could get way worse without the proper precautions. But hey, like, we're gonna have to see each day how it pans out.
yeah, take it day by day is all you can really do. And how are you like coping with it? Are you trying to
Um,
keep busy? Are you kind of more just vibing or?
More on the vibing side, I would say. Usually when I'm like home from tour, I don't really do much besides write music and kind of hang inside. I like to go on like hikes and stuff, but the quarantine stuff hasn't really interfered with that. I still can go on like walks on trails and stuff. There's not
Nice.
going to be anybody near me, so I do that every once in a while just to kind of get some fresh air, then huddle back into the house for another week. But yeah, I mean, just been kind of like putting my head down and still trying to stay focused, work any way I can. We had a lot of touring set up for summer all the way up through fall,
Fuck.
and yeah, a lot of that's obviously now like either canceled or being postponed or scheduled in a different way. So yeah, just kind of waiting and waiting to hear info, waiting to hear when, states and countries and just places in general are starting to have tours and stuff open up, but I don't expect it to be for a while. So I'm just kind of, get like I was talking about earlier, just gathering a bunch of like new studio gear, just getting prepared to just be inside for the rest of the year, trying to,
Yeah.
Work on new music, maybe do some more YouTube content, like, start thinking work from home base, from now on.
Yeah, that's the move. It's really to try and pivot everywhere you can, right? It's how to adapt to us just being stuck at home, and especially as musicians, and our main stream of revenue is being out and doing the tours, obviously aside from selling merch online or whatever. But yeah, that's really where we're able to kind of sustain ourselves, or you guys in particular who were so damn busy and had such a big year plan. So I can imagine what kind of like reassessment and shit you have to do.
Oh
So
yeah.
you did say you were going to be offering some guest solos and stuff.
Yeah, I've released a couple now that I've done. Yeah, if anyone is needing any guest solos, guest features on their songs for their band, whatever, maybe even like session work, if you have parts you want me to track or whatever, I'm also offering that service. So just hit me
Sweet.
up for rates and availability, Facebook or Instagram for any of that stuff.
Nice, nice. All right, cool. Well, before we move on, we've got some folks here watching. Just want to give a shout out. So, your good buddy and drummer extraordinaire Mike Caputo
Oh
is
yeah,
is hanging out with us. What's up, Andrew, Sean, Colleen? Zane says, "Sup, Joel."
what up?
Good buddy Christopher is watching, and Trent says, Adeline says, "Hello, Uncle Joel."
Oh
LOL.
yeah, tell her I say hello as well.
Uncle Joel. I want to call you Uncle Joel. Should it be my uncle? Word. So I talked with Alex who was out with you guys during all this craziness. But yeah, if you want to get into kind of Europe, and so you guys were out there right before Trump issued the order that they were going to be closing the borders and stuff. So how, like, what was that like for you, like being in a different country, like, holy fuck, you know?
Yeah, we were at least from my perspective very blindsided by it because
Yeah.
we were in Berlin, Germany was the last show we were able to play. Just got done at the show, kicked back, smoked a couple bowls, had a couple shots, laid down in my bunk, and then boom, tour managers showing up, to my bunk with a laptop saying, "We need to order flights. We need to leave the country
Uh,
now." That's how he presented it to me. I was
jeez,
like,
jeez.
"What is it? What is happening? Is there bombs falling from the sky? Is there like a
Ugh.
disaster?" Like, no, no, no. Like, you know, international travel ban just put into effect. We have to get out
Wow.
now, and we only had like 3 days left of the tour
Yeah.
until we were able to, you know, uh, take our original flights that we booked home. But with this travel ban stuff, there's so little information, and we just didn't want to get stuck there.
Yeah.
At the time, it was very vague, like what it meant for us as U.S. citizens with passports to get back. So it was just kind of like, screw it, bite the bullet, buy a $2,000 whatever plane ticket just to get home in the morning.
Ugh.
And it was um, like we've talked about before, like we have like a bunch of gear still in Europe that we won't be getting for a long time. We have Lucas and I both have guitars there. Mike's got pedals and other drum equipment, so took a big hit. But the main thing was just getting home and being able to prepare for the next coming months
Yeah.
in our own country, like at home in our houses where we can really plan to hunker down for a while. So yeah, it was intense, very intense.
Yeah, dude, that's fucking crazy. And actually, speaking of Alex Kendrick, he is hanging out. Says, "What's up, homies?" What up, Alex? Love you, dog. Evan Brewer's hanging out with us. What up, Evan?
Oh hell yeah, what up, Evan?
Miss you, Evan. Yeah, like I was telling Alex when he was on the show, if it was abiotic out there, I'd be fucking learning German, or like Polish or some shit, like I would
Oh yeah.
still be there probably right now because I could not afford just like a last minute plane ticket to get us back. And I'm sure I can speak for the boys. We'd all be there just like building houses for ourselves
Yeah.
right now or
It
some
was.
shit.
I know there's people that were in much worse scenarios. Like I know Lorna Shore and the package they were out on. They just started the tour, so they
Uh,
hadn't like played enough shows to make the revenue. At least we had like most of the tour done. It was like,
right.
okay, we're not going to come home with barely any money at all,
Yeah.
but it's better than I'd rather like break even and go home and be home than stranded, like you said, in another country. Like we were even saying, like, what's plan B if, because the flights were getting booked. As soon as we were about to press confirm on the page, it'd be
Yeah.
like sold out every time. So we're like thinking, like, all right, plan B is we meet someone we know in this country and get a job or like do whatever we have to do moving
Uh,
forward. It was so many thoughts going through our head. Like at one time, it was insane. Very, very crazy time.
yeah, yeah, I can imagine. And what was it like at the airports and stuff when you guys were coming back? Did you have to do any like craziness as far as like were they checking temperatures or were they
The
asking you where you were before if you came into contact with anyone?
the extent of that for me was just they asked me what countries I was in. Were you in Wuhan? Were you? They asked about Wuhan, and they asked if I had been to Iran at all, and I think one other place, but I was
Yeah,
just like, no, it was just mainly Germany and France and a couple places here and there. So it was just it wasn't too bad working with the people. It was just very crowded. Um,
yeah,
just like everyone was just trying to get out. Like I was overhearing people in line, like students saying like, oh, like I'm supposed to finish blah 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 project with these people here, but I'm saying screw it, I got to go home to the States. Like I could tell everyone was just like not planning to be at the airport that day. They were just like kind
right.
of like forced to. So yeah, everyone was
Uh,
just scrambling to get on their plane, get in their seat, and make it back.
were you able to go straight home or did you have to like do any connecting and then because from what I recall, I think Alex was like in Florida for however many days before he could
Hmm.
even get back.
I went straight from uh, Berlin to, I believe, Ireland, and then went from Ireland straight to Seattle, and then had to wait in Seattle for like a 12-hour layover, and then
Okay.
flew an hour home to Spokane.
Uh,
And, as soon as I got home, it was like, well, I was just in Europe, and what I was, hearing on the news and hearing everywhere to be told what to do if you come from another country or whatever, it's self quarantine. So I
yeah.
actually I was staying with my parents before the tour, and then I ended up going and staying with my friend because my mom's got like respiratory issues and stuff. I didn't want to
Oh
risk
man.
like anything happening to her, so I was like, yeah, I
No.
gotta go stay with my friend. Luckily, he was very, like uh, courteous and just give me a room and just let me chill until things kind of we got more information, watched how things panned out. Now I'm
Yeah.
back where I originally was and um, starting to finally make some progress with projects and stuff moving forward.
That's fucking awesome to hear, man. Awesome to hear that you had somebody to be able to look out for you in a situation like that, and
Yeah,
that you guys got back healthy. Your mom's is in good shape, hopefully.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
awesome, awesome. Well, killer. Well, cool, man. So let's take it back. So I wanted to kind of get into just how you got into guitar, like what started out for you, what were you jamming at the time, and we'll kind of go on a linear quest to your current situation with rings and animation sequence.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah, I mean, when I was growing up, uh, I listened. The first music I really got into was like rap music. So it was like I was listening to like Eminem, D12 World, NWA, like
Same, dude.
Ludacris, Snoop Dogg. Like all, I was in elementary school, and that's like what my friends listened to. So that's what I liked. And then yeah, one day I was hanging out in my basement with my dad, and he was just drinking, hanging out, blaring music, and I was going through his vinyl collection and found like the Iron Maiden vinyls that he had. And I was like, "What the hell is this?" And he's like, "Oh, that's old." I was like, "What is it though? It looks weird." And he was just like, I'll show you how to play it." And he like Yeah, so listen to Iron
Sick.
Maiden, and then kind of just went through my dad's old collection of like Megadeth, Metallica, Guns N' Roses. Kind of got
Nice.
introduced through whatever CDs he had laying around, and then I was like, oh, and then hearing Megadeth and Metallica's albums, I was just like, I want to
Yeah.
do that. So that's what kind of started me out on guitar, and just trying to cover all their songs, trying to figure out what the hell they're doing, make the same
Yeah.
sounds as them, you know.
Tight. Yeah, that's cool. I similarly was super inspired by like the classics per se early on too, which was weird because I didn't have like really anyone older show me that stuff. It was guys my age that somehow were into it, and same. I was like 13 or 14, and I was like, "Oh, this is sick." Wait, this came out in 1987. Like what?
Yeah.
But so you heard that stuff, and you were just like, "I got to play guitar. I got to do what Dave Mustaine and like James
Oh
Hetfield are
yeah.
doing."
I remember I took a couple lessons to kind of get started. I took about 4 or 5 lessons with this guy,
Yeah.
and he's like, "What do you want to do?" And I was just like, I showed him the Into the Lungs of Hell. It's like a Megadeth song. I was like, I just want to
Nice.
play this. And he was like a blues player. He's like, yeah, I could show you like how to, what path to take to get there. But
Dope.
it was at that point I kind of figured out the internet had tabs and everything available. So I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, I can just do this on my own. And if I need to learn stuff, like I luckily grew up in a time when the internet was just taking off with information and YouTube and stuff. So it was
Yeah.
just like anything you want to know, there's forums, there's YouTube videos, there's so much info just in the palm of your hand, just waiting to be found. So
Yeah.
yeah, just relied on the internet really to,
How old are
you
you?
know, uh, 26, turn
Okay.
27 in about a month.
So I'm not too much older than you. I'm 31 this year. But so I started playing when I was 13, and I started. I think it was like the first couple of years was just in that transition where everything went to like YouTube and like all that shit. I had to like download instructional videos from like Kazaa or like
Mhm.
LimeWire and give my computer aids, and like I had to like leave it on for 27 hours to like download
Yeah.
a Paul Gilbert video that was 5 minutes long to like learn a lick. So then yeah, getting tabs and when all that shit was finally up on YouTube was for me also like a big relief for like my parents who were having to buy me a new computer every like year because it was just fucking shit in the bed with like 37 Trojan viruses.
Oh yeah.
Um, but right, so how long have you been playing?
Um, I would say since I'm 13, so
Okay,
give or take like 13 years, I guess. Yeah.
nice. Yeah, it's half your life, dude. So that's
Yeah.
putting it into perspective is like how many. For me, I think about it sometimes. It's like I haven't been doing anything else for as long as I've been playing guitar.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, same. It's all I know. I mean, no matter what happens, I think I'll always be doing it because it's the thing it's I'm most, connected to other than any other hobby or, whatever. So,
Yeah, totally. So after young thrash head Joel is learning all the Megadeth and the Metallica he can get his hands on, how did you get more into like the tech and the heavier stuff?
it was really from like friends in high school. It's when I was in high school is when bands like As Blood Runs Black, After the Burial, Born of Osiris, those bands just came out their like first releases and were
Yeah,
just hitting the touring circuit. So yeah, just friends from high school. They're like, "Whoa, listen to this!" And at that time, I was more into like Gilbert, Jason Becker, like the
yeah,
neoclassical stuff. But I still was a fan of the heavier stuff, like Metallica, Pantera, and I was like, man, I wish there was like a way to combine the two. And then I started hearing like Faceless, All Shall Perish,
yeah.
like have these shred roots, but also be heavy as hell. So yeah, just uh, exposure from friends, man. Just the scene around here in town, like introduced me to a lot of music that kind of influenced me along the way.
Nice. And did you start like going to shows and then or did you have like a local band you were in or anything or
Yeah, I had a couple local bands. Started going to shows when I was about like 15 or 16 or so, and just I don't know. I never went into music like with a goal in mind or trying to do anything serious with it. I just,
Yeah.
enjoyed it, had fun doing it with my friends, and then, um, yeah, from there it was just like, oh, here's an opportunity. There's an opportunity. I guess I'll do it. Fuck it, you know.
Do you remember the first show you played?
Yeah, it was a house show. It was at a Halloween party in
Nice.
high school, and
Oh, with the sickest monitors, I bet.
oh yeah, I had this Line 6 like starter pack guitar, and
Ooh.
it sounded awesome. But
Did you have it on insane? You had it on insane
yeah,
mode?
yeah, oh
Of
yeah,
course.
definitely. And yeah, we did some like death covers. I think we covered like Crystal Mountain and did some other stuff, some
Dude,
originals.
my local band
So
used to cover Crystal Mountain too. That's hilarious.
yeah, yeah.
It's like awesome. So how did you go about meeting up with the Rings guys?
So I first started my YouTube channel like I believe it was the beginning of like senior year of high school, and
Sick.
like Lucas had put out a some bet you can't play this video for like one of the old Embryonic Anomaly songs. I
Yep.
think it was the song Embryonic Anomaly, but yeah, I just made like a full song cover, and I was just doing it for fun. I was just kind of like, oh, what songs can I learn and make a video of me playing. So I had some older covers on there of other bands, but I made a Rings cover and didn't think anything of it. Just kind of did it for fun. And
Yeah.
then before going to school one day, I had a message when you could. I don't know if you can message people anymore on YouTube, but I got a YouTube message from Lucas, and it was like, "Hey, we want to start taking this band on the road and start doing our first tours. Like, how are you doing with school? Like, what's your window of availability look like if you're interested in like joining with us? And liked your video and want to have you like try out and whatnot." So, yeah, at the time, like I said, it was like senior year of high school. The vocalist at the time, Peter, he had also was waiting to finish high school, so
Wow.
just waiting for our school year to get over, and then as soon as we both graduated, we did the Slaughter Survivors tour in 2011,
Yeah.
and that was our very first tour. And yeah, just kind of went along with it after that. Whatever tour offers and stuff were presented to us.
Sick, sick. So who was on that first tour? That wasn't like
Um,
Fallujah Contortionist.
it was Contortionist, Conducting from the Grave, Scale the Summit,
Oh man.
um, Volume Structures. Yeah, it was a stacked lineup. It was like all these bands
Super
before
stacked.
anybody knew who they were. So it was just like a great tour for all of us to kind of
Yeah.
just get our foot in the door and kind of show everyone what we're all capable of. So it was a great tour, great time.
That's fucking awesome. And yeah, that's a sick first tour too.
Yeah.
To be on, to have like, because for those of the folks listening, watching Slaughter Survivors, it was when people used to vote for the opener for Summer Slaughter, and there'd be like, well, it was a shit ton of bands. Sometimes it was like 8 to 10
Oh
bands
yeah.
or something like that, and then they would get probably eight or so of those bands that didn't get chosen and then put them on a tour, which I always thought was such a sick idea.
Oh yeah.
And some really sick tours have actually come of that. So I think it'd be cool if they started doing that again. But I don't know. I guess post Corona, obviously. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was speaking of Slaughter. Yeah, it just reminded me. I just had like do you have like tour nightmares? Like like stuff goes wrong in your
Oh
dream
yeah.
and it's
Yeah,
like
all
super
the time,
realistic?
man. Like something happens where it's like I forgot what time I'm supposed to be on stage, and I show up in the room, and like the band's already halfway done. Like
Oh, dude.
I've had dreams like that, or like dreams that I've left something, or yeah,
It's
I've
it,
I've had those.
it's such a common theme among I think us who are like there's that anxiety of like getting on stage and getting to the show and like those little things that can happen. So I had a dream that we were playing Summer Slaughter. Like in the dream, I just knew it was Summer Slaughter, and we couldn't find parking, and we get to the venue, and I guess Behemoth is on the tour, so like Nurgle from Behemoth is trying to find the green room. He's just like yelling at people, like running all over the venue trying to find the green room. And I get to the stage. There's a band playing. There's like 12 people at the venue. On either side of the stage is where merch is. So there's tables set up on either side of the stage for some reason, facing the crowd, and that's where
Dream
merch
logic.
is. Yeah. So I go up to where our table is, and we don't have our merch bins. So Travis is there, and I'm like, Travis, what the fuck? Like, go get our merch bins. What the fuck are you doing? And there's like kids coming up to the table. I'm like, we don't have merch. We're not like, go get the fucking merch. So we showed up late apparently. So I'm plugging in our merch light. Like I just have an extension cable, and I'm like trying to figure out where to plug it in. I plug in the cable, and all the power goes out in the whole venue.
Oh my god!
And that just we were talking Slaughter just reminded me of, like tour nightmares and just like how that's. It felt super realistic too, because I'm pretty sure I've seen that happen where I've seen somebody plug a light in and like half the venue's lights will just go out.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I think that's happened to us before. I think we were someplace in South Carolina, and like, yeah, all the power. It did it like throughout the whole show. Like the power would just randomly flicker on and off, and then everyone would be like, like just like deer in headlights. Like, oh, start that one over for you, you know.
So you joined Rings. You guys started touring hella. How many albums did you do before you kind of stepped away from the band for a little bit?
We did. I did Dingier and Lou Galkien, our second and third albums, and yeah, and then was away from the band for a couple years. I think it was just kind of like necessary. There was like I never had a chance to actually none of us really had a chance to really like grow up and kind of get our heads on as adults, because we just started doing this right out of high school. So
right.
I think there was just like a lot of things that when I came back into the fold 2 years ago, it was just like, oh, this is so much different. This is like we're all level-headed, we're all mature, we're all very professional, we all have the same goals in mind. It was kind of we were figuring things out when like any band does when we first start out, and it was very chaotic at times, but over time, like, you know, each tour we learned things, each album we learned things, just always progressing, moving forward. So yeah, I think by the time I was out of the band, I'd been with a couple other bands and toured with them, and was doing like just working on myself as like as far as like production goes, songwriting, just playing in general, like just kind of made myself more valuable. And then when I came back into the fold, I could present more. When I first joined, it was like I was learning how to tour. So
yeah, so you basically use that time to kind of just work on you, and you know you're feeling better for it. You think?
Oh yeah, I think it was obviously like I wish like transitions would have been smoother. You know, there was like a lot of emotions involved. We all invested very heavily into the project, so
of course.
But yeah, coming back in, like, it's been very smooth since I think it's been about 2 years since I rejoined. So last 2 years have been the best years of touring and writing, recording music that I've had so far, and just have a lot of stuff to look forward to after, you know, this pandemic's over.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Hopefully, you know, again, shit gets back to normal and you guys can get out there crushing it again. Mm-hmm. So we met obviously prior to you to your hiatus from the band. So I think was the show at House of Blues the first time that we played together, or did we already do the Faceless tour?
I think we already did the Faceless Within the Ruins run.
Yeah. That was the first time that we met then.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, a lot of good memories on that tour. I think that was the first tour we met Alex on as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, had a lot of good times. It was a very good time.
Yeah, that was the first time that the band had met Alex, and the band had met. No, it wasn't. Not Aaron yet. We still had Undress on drums, but yeah, and that was the tour of the crazy party that we don't really have to get into all the details, but
I remember. Yeah, the people getting lost in bushes and all
Oh
kinds of crazy
yeah.
stuff.
Oh man. Yeah, Alex doesn't give a fuck. I pulled Alex out of a like out of the so like in a party where that's outside and everybody goes, all the dudes go to piss in one specific corner. We couldn't find Alex for like an hour. I don't know if you remember this, but
Yeah, I vaguely remember.
tr-
I was pretty gone myself.
trying to find Alex. Like, dude, where the fuck did this guy go? I'm like scouring the backyard because it's real dark. There's no lights, so I don't think I went to take a piss, but I just went to like go take a gander at like where people had been going to the piss corner, and Alex was like, I wish I had a picture. Alex was like Sid in Toy Story, like when he's asleep on his bed with his like face down, ass up. I don't know if you can picture this,
Yeah.
but Alex was face down, ass up in this piss corner, and I love him to death. He's the most chill dude ever because like I grabbed him. He was still wearing a backpack, and like I grabbed his backpack to like pull him up off of the floor. He had like vomit on the brim of his hat, like somehow, and and I grabbed
Scoop
him.
some up.
Yeah, I don't know, not really sure how, but I pulled him up out of the piss, and he was just like, "Oh, dude, no worries." And like as he got up, and I pulled him up to try and like get him to stand, he just fell right back into a bush, like just all the way backwards into a bush. Um, so dragged him out of the bush, and I'm like trying to get him back to the party and back to where there's lights and people. And in between where we are and like the deck of this party is just a giant like mud section, and he absolutely slips in the mud and is just rolling in this shit. Like it was fantastic. It's like still one of my favorite tour moments
Yeah.
ever. Just
That one party was just like the greatest hot mess ever.
it
Everyone
was
was
it was.
flying all over the place, stuff breaking, stuff.
Oh man,
Oh,
there was a wrestling match.
there was. I remember
It was a wrestling match.
there was water poured all over a MacBook when that
Oh
wrestling match
man.
happened.
Oh man.
Oh man.
Excellent
Yeah.
times. And then so then after that, we played the House of Blues in Orlando at Disney World together,
Oh yeah.
which was pretty sick because we were like smoking blunts in the parking lot at Disney
Oh yeah.
World. And
Yeah. Then we walk in. There's people with Mickey Mouse hats on. Like, oh, what's going on?
yeah.
What's
Oh
going on
man.
here? I remember that show because I think two of the bands or a couple of the bands weren't allowed to play because
It was Die Art and Cattle Decap.
which is crazy because if they would have read the lyrics of a lot of the bands, they would have been like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do this at all.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
if we're that being that careful here, like
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I get the argument, like, because
uh,
the posters for the show were up in Disney World. So, like, Die Artist Murder and Cattle Decapitation, I guess I get it. But, I mean,
yeah,
it's like you said, it's not like all the other bands on that package weren't having some crazy lyrical content or
oh
some
yeah,
shit, or people weren't beating the piss out of each other in the pit anyway.
oh yeah.
Um, Rad. So with your time off, you worked with some other bands. What other bands were you on tour with? Or I remember you saying that you ended up being in the weed industry somehow too, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, when with my time away from Rings, I toured with Enterprise Earth for a little while.
Oh shit.
Did a summer slaughter with them and did like a couple tours like Whitechapel and Carnifex,
Nice.
and had a lot of great time with those dudes. And then when I was done touring with them, I was doing stuff with another band called Extortionists, who aren't around anymore, but they were kind of like big in like the hardcore like down tempo like scene. They're all friends of mine. They all grew up in my area, so that's kind of how I met up with them.
Yeah.
And outside of music, yeah, I worked on a farm here in Washington State and did that for almost a year. Had a great time just meeting a lot of people in the industry. Here they call it the I-502 industry because it's
I-502.
like I think that's the
law?
bill that got passed
Okay.
or law or whatever. So yeah, I met a lot of people. We would go to like cool parties and stuff where like other industry workers from dispensaries, farms and stuff would all meet up in one place, sample products and stuff. So yeah, I mean it was cool to get away from music for a bit and kind of like get really involved in like something else for a while. So it was a nice break. And then once yeah, once I rejoined Rings, I was like, all right, yeah, the weed stuff was fun, but this is what I need to get back to doing. Like, this is like my main thing is
Yeah.
music. So,
Yeah, I feel you. So I'm, you and I kind of took similar paths there. So I'm in the weed industry right now, and I'm doing a little balancing act with the music as well. But that's sick. So do you have a favorite strain? Obviously, like so I was in Seattle not that long ago. Been there a few times on the road and shit as well, and obviously we hung out in Spokane a bunch and all that shit. But I went with like it was a work trip, so it was like the first time that like my work sent all the general managers out to like, hey, we're going on a weed retreat basically, which is
wow.
mind blowing to do like for work.
Hmm.
And I went to this dispensary. So in Mass, it's obviously legal recreationally, but the industry is still very much in its infancy. There's still a lot of like regulations on production and who can produce and how much. So it's all very like vertically integrated. If you're a dispensary, you have your own grow. Where like in a state like Washington, you have a dispensary and the dispensary can sell fucking like 100 different producers' products. So I went to like Uncle Ike's and I was like, this is my favorite strain. Do you have this? And the guy just like was like, I got it in a pre-roll. I got it in a, I got it in an eighth. I got it in an ounce. Do you want it in a vape? Do you want it in? I was like, holy fuck. So are you like spoileder than fuck? And do you have like a favorite that you have a go-to for?
So that, yeah, we have so many options here that I feel like I'm just always trying something new.
Yeah.
I never really get stuck on like the idea of one strain. What back when I was like before it was like legal everywhere, and I was like, having to get it from friends and stuff. Like, I would always try to find like Alaskan Thunderfuck
Nice.
or like White Widow.
Okay.
Yeah, I think those two strains were the ones that stood out the most. But nowadays it's like anything that's like an indica or indica hybrid, load me up, let me look at it. If I like what I see, I'm just gonna buy it. So
Nice.
I'm really just open to always trying something new. Like, oh, new company, what's this? Try this out, roll up a blunt with it, see how I like it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm on the same tip. I'm an indica dominant guy too. I gotta be careful with my sativas. Sometimes it gets me a little like racy and shit. You
Yeah,
get that too?
I quit smoking sativas because just like they'd give me headaches, and then
Yeah.
they would make me like ultra like not I wouldn't say like paranoid, but kind of like jumpy or kind of anxious. Like,
Yeah.
all right, I need to do something. Like, I need to like get my mind. I need to keep my mind busy now that I'm like on this crazy sativa high. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
why
exactly.
that's why I kind of like shifted gears at indica only. Like, it like chills me out, and I can still stay focused. Like, light up a blunt, write a song, and I'm good. Like,
Yeah. Oh, that's the good stuff, man. All right, we got some movement in the chat here. We'll take a couple of questions. So Mike, actually, Mike says he remembers that show we were talking about with the power shutting off.
oh
He says
yeah,
during Joel's ending solo in Senseless Massacre, perfect timing.
yep,
Oh
oh yeah,
no.
oh yeah.
Oh, what a bummer. Zane says, Mike, that would have been shattering. I love that solo. Chewy says, did you guys meet Muhammad from Necrophagist? No, I didn't. Did you ever meet Muhammad from Necrophagist?
I saw Necrophagist play the 2009 Summer Slaughter, and that's the closest
Sick.
I've ever come to the legend himself.
I saw them before I knew who they were, probably in 2000 and want to say like 7 or 8. I'm pretty sure I was still in high school, and I saw them play like a floor show.
Hmm.
And it was fucking crazy. And I wish I knew who they were then, because it kind of led me to getting into their music after. But yeah, so sorry, Chewy, we didn't. If anybody knows Muhammad, and he just, of course, obviously he's gonna want to get on this podcast. So
Hmm.
fucking tell him to hit me up.
Oh yeah.
Um, Brian Stevens, the homie,
Oh,
he's
homie
hanging.
Brian.
Love you, Brian. Alex says, "Hi, Joel. Greetings from Colombia. You're one of my favorite guitarists. How do you build such complex and inspirational compositions in both animation sequence and rings? Um, Sending me a
Huh.
curtain of animation sequence and rings. I
Oh,
don't know if he
the
means like the. Oh,
backdrop.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I was like a curtain. But yeah, I
Um,
mean, how do you? That's a great question. How do you guys? And I'm sure it's, or maybe it's not, but I'd imagine it's a little bit different from rings, where it's a little bit more collaborative than
mhm.
animation sequences, which is your own project.
Yeah. So I guess the difference between the two is how we kind of come up with with our songs, structures, melodies, and songwriting in general is with Rings, it's kind of like we've kind of got a formula down for what creates the Rings sound, what parts are
Yeah,
appropriate for Rings. Like it's very like open for creativity, but at the same time there is like kind of like a template in place for like harmonies and certain structures that we use that make up a Rings song. But
for sure.
yeah, like Lucas and I will just we'll write songs separately. Sometimes we'll collab. I'll send him like I might get done with a whole song, send it to him, and then he'll go through and make his preferences and edits. He's kind of like the final say in it. So I'll
Yep,
send him a song. He'll go, oh, this will make it more like Rings, like or
sure.
more like appropriate for this, and then he'll send it back. Pretty much just send songs back and forth until we're both stoked on it, and then we send it off to everybody else.
Nice.
And then so yeah, that's kind of how it goes with Rings. The animation, um, I just write kind of whatever I want with it, and it's just kind of I don't really. It's kind of weird how I go into writing because I never really plan it. I'm just always playing guitar or like writing stuff. So
Right.
it's sometimes a whole song will come out of like a pairing of like three notes. I'll have like I'll be playing around with oh these notes like go cool with each other. Then it'll be like oh now I have a whole riff. Oh now this part comes. Oh okay, and then
Yep.
this song kind of writes itself. And I'm sure you've experienced that. You're just out of the blue, just oh cool riff. Oh now here's a whole song. Whoa okay sick okay like it
Yeah.
always I kind of just let it happen kind of organically when there's and sometimes we get like with Rings it's like all right we're on a schedule for the album release get everything turned in to the label and whatnot so then it'll be we always have like some ideas like that haven't been used yet but most of the time we're just like on the spot for like take a couple weeks and just hammer out new songs right there just like oh here we go just crunch time with it get it that's the difference between the ring stuff and animation for me is it's more like on a schedule with rings or animation
Right.
it's kind of just like when I have free time and then when it's done I can just release it whenever I want it's all DIY so
Nice. How long have you been doing the animation sequence stuff?
um on and off since about 2015 um yeah just was just writing a bunch of stuff and just called it animation sequence. I was like, whenever this stuff is, these songs are completely done and ready to record, I'll just release it under that name, and that's kind of, you know, just anything I write on the side that doesn't fit in any other projects that, I kind of just turned that into animation, and I came out with two EPs
Yeah.
with that, and then at the moment I actually have a whole album planned in the works. I originally didn't think it was going to happen, but now with the pandemic and the way things are shaping, touring and stuff, I have quite a bit of time to do a full length and do it, how I think is the right way to do it.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely the move. So glad to hear that you're putting the time in to get some new tunes out. Are you guys cooking up any new rings during the downtime too?
Um, we do have some stuff planned, not like a completely new album, but we'll be making announcements very shortly
Oh, sweet.
on some stuff that the band has planned for people. But um, yeah, I mean, we try to put out an album every 2 years or so, so I'm
Yeah.
sure maybe sometime next year we'll start planning for something new.
Nice, killer. So if you're watching, listening, definitely check out Animation Sequence on all the socials, I'm assuming. So Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. Awesome. And keep an eye out on the Rings page for some awesome news apparently. So I'll be looking forward to seeing some of that stuff. Um all right, awesome. So since and I've seen you guys talk about it a bunch, and so since you've been in Rings, obviously there's like been controversy kind of surrounding the band in general, be it like in one avenue or another. So how have you like? And I've seen you post some things talking about it and how it may have played a part in maybe you taking the hiatus from the band and also in even coming back as well. So how have you like
Yeah.
navigated that? Because I know it's super tough, right? Like in general, even if you're not in Rings of Saturn, people are online are obviously going to be critical of your band and
Oh yeah.
critical of your playing and like there's going to be Lamb Goat is going to post something. So obviously, everyone who comments on Lamb Goat is just, I don't know, living in their mom's basements and whatever.
Yeah.
But how have you like navigated through those like controversies and stuff?
Well, the thing for me personally with all the controversies, all the speculation, rumors, and articles, everything, the
Right.
whole 9 yards, it kind of just for me, it like at first it affected me like when I was first in the band and we started getting like all the half speed stuff, all this crap that was spread from our old drummer, and
Yeah.
it was just kind of like weird because like every like I I've never like written or recorded anything like that I can't perform.
Right.
And like every band, like everyone will edit stuff in the studio and
Yeah.
make it sound as clean as possible, or however you want to represent your music. So I never really like um try to let it get to me too much. Every once in a while it's kind of like Jesus Christ, like like I can't believe like it's so intense because I think people like there's a lot of questions with like how we make our music and um how we present it, blah blah blah. It's kind of like maybe what I've been thinking about lately, like maybe people are just really curious because not everyone's a musician, not everybody understands everything that goes on,
Yeah.
from a band standpoint when creating music. Not everyone's a producer, so like um I think there's a lot of like maybe there should be some kind of like way to bring out some like clarity in those topics, like
Yeah.
maybe like not maybe like like we're possibly leaving people in the dark in a way and not like
Right.
showing everything. Like maybe people are just interested or they don't understand,
Yeah.
but like with in general though, with all the controversies and stuff, I kind of just I know what's true because I'm in the damn band and
Right.
I help make the music. I'm there for all the steps. So like I know what's true, and it's just kind of funny because what everyone says on the internet, I'm like, man, this they don't know what's happening. Like they're telling us we're reamping Guitar Pro MIDI and we don't actually pick up our guitar once when we record, or we're recording half speed or
Right.
this. Like so it's I just kind of have to like put my head down and just focus. I try not to scroll on Facebook or Instagram much anymore.
Yeah.
I only post when it's like content really. So
Right.
I just kind of like try to ignore it. I don't expect it to ever go away. It's kind of helped in a way like hype our band and get people talking about it. So
Yeah. I was gonna
it's
say
not
that.
really. I don't think it's really like a detrimental thing that's ever gonna like like affect things too badly. But it's definitely like it's always going to be there, and I've just kind of learned to accept it. I'm like I am always going to make music for myself and for the people that enjoy it, like for them as well. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's that. I just kind of like try to shift my focus on that rather than focusing on negatives and stuff. Like people can say what they want. I think freedom of speech is awesome. People should be like, I fucking hate your band. That's sick, dude.
Yeah.
Awesome. Like I think it's cool that you're able to do that, and I have the right to do that as well as
Right.
you and everybody else. So
Yeah.
um, but yeah, just focused on what I get, the enjoyment I get from making music and the people that follow it as well. That's the main kind of thing I focus on to kind of navigate through all the controversies and everything. Just focus on why you're doing it and not don't give attention to like everything that could make a negative effect on you, I guess,
Yeah. For
like your
sure.
judgment and like going into projects and being like, oh, what are people going to think of this? Just kind of
Yeah.
focus on you, do what you want to do.
Yeah, that's great advice. It's great to see that your mindset has you've come into that mindset of like, we just gotta like focus on us and why we're doing this, and we know it's true. It just like you said as well, from an outsider perspective, I think it definitely helped the band.
Oh yeah.
It definitely that name was in everybody's mouth, and still is to a degree as well, on both sides. So you guys have a diehard fan base that is defending you to the ends of the earth, and then they're gonna be like you said, like anybody with an opinion and a fucking internet connection is gonna come out of the woodworks and give their opinion on, and nobody gives a fuck about it anyway. But they're gonna come out and say their piece. But it's people talking about your band, right? So
Yeah, and it in a way too, it kind of it's kind of cool to go through the experience in a weird way that I look at it, because not a lot of people have experience with, like having all these people tell you, you're fake, you don't do that, you're not able to do this. Like, what is this? You're scamming people. You're a fraud. You're this and that.
Right.
It's kind of cool to go through that and kind of gain the experience and know how to handle it now, because at first we were new to all that. We didn't expect like so many people to care about what was happening, and with our music.
Take it personally too, right? Like it's hard not to take that shit personally.
Yeah, because when you're growing up, you never expect that to be part of your career. So it's like, all right, cool, whatever. So after a while, it's like you kind of learn how to maneuver through it, how to respond to certain things. What my biggest thing is, whenever I see like hate or like people accusing us of stuff, it's just kind of like, the more attention you give this, the more it kind of just like grows. You got to give attention to what you want to, you want to give attention to what you want to focus on the most. So that's why I've always focused on the music and the people that enjoy the music and support it.
Awesome. Yeah. I think that's definitely the move. So, and like you were saying before, maybe that you're feeling maybe you guys weren't super, and not honest, but like not fully transparent about stuff, because feeling like maybe you were leaving some people in the dark. I think for whatever it's worth, like the podcasting is one of the better platforms to like really be able to get your message out with context, with like it's
with the tone in your voice, not just a status.
Exactly.
That's why I don't like doing statuses anymore, just in general, because especially nowadays, everyone is very sensitive on Facebook with the pandemic going on. Everyone's got their own theories and ideas of how things are happening, how it should be handled. So I think, especially now, I think now is really like a hard time to really try to get an idea, a complex idea, like translated well enough just through words in text form. So I think, podcasts are great. I think Lucas did a great job with, he did a response video to a YouTuber that was like, creating the same claims about fake playing and whatever. And he was just like, here's our DI tracks, here's this. And I think people and it got a really good response, because I think people have no idea. So it's easy to believe like, oh, it's all fake. They just write it all in Guitar Pro and don't know what they're doing on guitar, and they go and play live and it's all backtracked. Like it's easy to believe that when you don't have a lot of, I guess, transparency from us with the podcast, with the type of content we've been putting out lately. So, and it's kind of weird just to go through it, because like every band, like I said earlier, every band like edits their stuff. Everyone wants to sound good in the studio. So it's kind of hard to be the one guy to be transparent about it when everybody else is also doing it and nobody else has to address it.
That's fair. So. Yeah, that's a good point. I just got to ask, was your most recent album recorded with no triggers and real kick drums and...
Oh, it was a jam band album. Like, we just sat in a room and we're like, you know what? Let's just press record, see what flows.
Dude, that guy is still making the rounds on the internet. I'm sure he's hit you guys up at some point, but like, That guy is still hitting up all the bands asking if their albums are recorded without using triggers because triggers are fake and
Yeah.
cheating. So
Yeah, I think I've seen a couple of the people, the drum critics, and I've been seeing it happen more with vocals lately too. With
yep.
oh, this guy pitch shifted his vocals to make it more brutal or what. It's like, dude, like, here's my whole thing with what I think is like could make would make metal music better. The scene in general is like back in the day. I just remember listening to music in a room with people and just enjoying it for like what it was. I didn't overanalyze it and think about
Yeah.
how they recorded it or like anything like that. It was just listen to it for what it is and just enjoy it. Or
Yep.
like, and I think that's nowadays a genre that really um like the fan base really like thinks that way more is like electronic music. They just go to festivals, they don't know who's playing it most of the time, I feel like.
Yeah.
And it's just like they just enjoy it. It's just there. And like I'm a huge fan of electronic music. That's why, in a lot of my music I try to like make the guitar more intertwined with like an electronic sound. I like editing it. I like making it sound weird and out there because I do. And then when I play live, I play my damn guitar and I do the same shit live. Like, so that's kind of my thing. That's my way of thinking with it. I don't try to present myself as like a completely like metal artist. Like, oh yeah, this is like true as hell, fucking tech death metal or whatever the hell you want to call it. Like,
Yeah.
I use metal as an influence in my playing, but I also use electronic and I use a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
And I like to blend it all. And that's why Rings and Animation Sequence and Lucas is the same way with electronic influences. Like, we try to blend the two because that's what we want to do. And like we don't care whether people are gonna bitch all they want that they want to hear it with no triggers or no editing or anything. We're never gonna listen to that. We're always gonna do what we want to do and what our fans want us to do. So
Yeah, it's what's worked for you guys obviously up until now. It's the signature ring sound, and for whatever my opinion and experience is worth, I know you can shred the fuck out of all of the songs that you've written. I've seen it happen. I've been there. So if you're watching this and you have any questions, it gets the John stamp of approval for it's not worth anything, but anyway.
yeah.
So Sierran Arts says triggers belong on weapons, not on musical instruments.
Oh man, I love that comment.
That's amazing. um, Mike says, "You ever get hit with a drum? Shit hurts. Definitely a weapon." Rad. So, what have been some of your favorite tours with Rings, or maybe not with Rings, but in your touring career, you have any tours that like stand out?
Um, I think all the summer slaughter tours I've done, have all been amazing, great time. It's always a stacked lineup with many bands, so
Oh yeah.
it's always cool when you like first tour with a band for the first time. Like touring with Periphery and Animals as leaders on the 2013 Slaughter was just awesome experience to see how they operate day to day and like watch them play live every day and like kind of learn from observation. Those are two bands that are huge influences like for me like early on into this kind of like journey of progressive metal. So
For sure.
yeah, the Summer Slaughter tours all been awesome. The recent tours we've been doing, like all of 2019 was very cool. Like we did our Jadim release tour in the States. It was our first tour that we got to do with a bandwagon, and that was just like absolute like game changer. Like being able to sleep every night and like cook food and stuff. Like I've never experienced that on a tour really, so it was really cool to do one tour at least with a bandwagon. But then there's also like I also really have fond memories of like smaller tours. Like when I was in that Extortionist band, we did a tour with Lorna Shore and Body Snatcher, and that was probably one of the funnest experiences I've had too. EJ Shannon was on that tour with Hive, and everyone's pulling pranks on each other and doing all kinds of crazy shit. It was just all around good time, bunch of good dudes. So yeah, I mean it's crazy how like one tour it's like, oh, it's a summer slaughter, it's a higher caliber tour or whatever, but
Yeah.
sometimes the smaller tours just kind of have the best memories because it's just like it's more the time of you guys enjoying yourselves at like maybe let's say a smaller like venue rather than being in a big venue and just being in the green room all day and just
Right.
getting ready for the show and kind of being a little more isolated from like everybody else.
Yeah, yeah, and all the bands may not hang out all together. There's so many, and then like, um, but those small tours where like everybody fucking hangs and like,
Oh yeah.
like you said, like pranks and shit. Like when we toured with Wretched on the last show, we ruined this venue with newspaper. Like we just grabbed like a giant stack of newspaper and we were just like throwing newspaper at them during their whole set. And that's like one of my fondest memories on tour too is touring with those guys in Allegiant and Rivers of Nile because it was all of us hanging every single day, like just the most homie fest, and those are generally the ones that are the most fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That yeah, almost I in ways I do miss kind of just like touring in the very like just even like just like bar shows and like the occasional house shows here and there, like or anything like that. Like it's always kind of fun to kind of go out of your comfort zone, but just be there kind of more to hang out and just make connections with people than being so focused on the show being as perfect as you can make it and you
Right.
know what I mean, presenting it to a big audience and having that stress there. It's like
Yeah.
feels like you're more hanging out sometimes when you're on the like the smaller tour packages and like kind of just chilling out. Like it's a small venue, everyone's just here drunk, having fun, like smoking bowls, kicking back, whatever.
For sure. Um, Sorry, I got a comment from Mike. So Mike says the Abiotic tour with Wretched, my local band opened that show in Houston on my 22nd birthday. Alex and I blacked out that night. We didn't know each other at the time.
Sounds about right.
I was gonna say, sounds pretty spot on. Rad, dude. Well, again, want to thank you so much for coming on and for again chatting a little bit about your journey, chatting a little bit about Rings and animation sequence. So, let folks know where they can follow you, where they can follow your bands if for some reason they are stupid and haven't heard of them. Where can people follow you and your music?
So yeah, on I have a personal Facebook account, personal Instagram. I have the animation sequence accounts on Facebook and Instagram as well, and then I have a YouTube channel, just Joel Omans, just my name, and then yep, all the ring stuff, same thing, Facebook, Instagram, and yeah, that's really the best places you can get updates from us, what we got going on.
Awesome, man. So I hope post Corona we can do a proper tour together because I don't think we've gotten an opportunity to do that yet. Like the
Oh yeah,
Faceless one was like I don't know
2 weeks.
2 weeks or something like that. So hopefully post Corona we can do something proper. I'd love to see you again, and I again can't talk enough about how awesome I think you are as a guitar player, as a person. So yeah, hopefully we can hang out soon.
Of course, man. It's been a pleasure. Awesome catching up with you as
Yeah.
always.
Thanks, man. All right, we'll talk soon and have a good night, man. Take care.
You too, man. Take care.
All right, everybody. I obviously didn't plan that out very well. So thank you very much for joining us on episode 11 of the Big Shred podcast with Joel Omans of Rings of Saturn and Animation Sequence. Definitely go check out Joel's bands. Um, Go check out his YouTube channel and follow him on his socials. He puts out all kinds of cool videos of him shredding it up on guitar. Thanks again for hanging. So we've got another episode coming up this Wednesday. I've got a couple of really awesome guests coming up for this Wednesday. So keep an eye out on the Big Shred social media pages for an announcement for the upcoming guest. Usually do it a day after one of our live streams. You'll kind of see who's coming up on the next show. So follow us on Twitter, Instagram, on Twitch, and on the YouTube as well. These episodes will also be, again, full episodes will be posted up on YouTube, also on the podcasting sites, wherever you stream podcasts. We'll have the audio versions of these episodes up there as well. Again, I've been John Matos. Thank you for hanging out, and I will catch you all next time. Thanks.